We are on the road to glory, guys. It is episode 13. Time is flying by. And the road to glory, the club is evolving, it's developing. We're getting into the sharp end of the European season, and we're yet to win anything proper, anything significant, but we're edging ever closer. The new additions we're bringing into the club are of the highest caliber. They've been scouted by the Sorare scouts and managers from around the world. That's you guys that are dropping into the comment section on every video with your best budget value picks from around world football to come into the Road to Glory series to help us win rewards to give away to you guys. Now, last week, if you caught the episode that went out, we picked up a Brais Mendes directly from the Road to Glory watch list. The link to that is in the description of this video. It's a watch list full of hundreds of players at all sizes, profiles, budgets, and regions for managers of all levels of the Sorare stratosphere. But as we look at the team we had last week, unfortunately, Brais didn't do enough. He actually gets subbed off at half-time, which was a real kick in the stones for me, having his super rare as well. Good game for Magno, okay game for Vassen and Ferro. Was did okay, I suppose, just not enough big punch power to really make sure that we secured the prizes last week. But we got all 5 starters, nothing really went against us this game week, but we just never really got anything go for us either. This week in Cap 270, we're playing Etienne Vassen, the guy that bleeds 50s, in goals, along with the powerhouse that is Ferro, of course. We're going to stick with Captain Was in midfield. He should have a decent game. Tony is L15 of like 35 or something like that, and he's fantastic for the cap modes this week. And new addition, the guy who just bleeds decisives, Mikhail Kaufman, comes into the club this week as well. So this 270 team, I think, has a bit of the punch, has a bit of the power to get us in amongst the cards. Like we've seen with, if we can get our 30 points out of Ferro, which is not unimaginable, and really the rest of the team does the same as last week, then I think that could be enough. But I do think Tony and Mikhail here are capable of getting in amongst the goals this week. So I think this could be a really special Cap 270 team for the Road to Glory. And we're also going to get Filip Kostic into a Serie A semi-pro team, Talles Magno into an MLS semi-pro team, and Brais Mendes in a La Liga semi-pro team. So we're going to have 4 teams go out for the Road to Glory this week in the effort of winning us cards that we can give away to you guys. Of course, I want to know your suggestions for the Road to Glory series this week. Drop them in the comment section down below to be featured on next week's video. We're trying to keep under 10 limiteds at the moment, and we are trying to keep a bit of a focus on maximising the semi-pro entries we can do at the moment, as well as making sure that when the European season goes off, we're not going to be totally caught with our pants down. You know, we have cards that are still going to be playing, and we're not building a full team from scratch when everyone else will be in the same position. Now, Football Player has come in with a fantastic suggestion. He's recommended Alan Polito. Now, Alan Polito, if you roll back 3 years, was one of the most prolific forwards in MLS, and he has just had a terrible run of injuries, but Polito looks to be back for Kansas City, and he can be amazing on Sorare Fantasy Football. He's 32, but the Mexican international, he's got top quality pedigree. In MLS, he's definitely top 5, top 3 striker, capable when he's fit and firing. At the moment, for a limited card, you're looking at £6, $8, something like that. And you do need to really zoom out on Sorare data to see his historic scores for how good he can be when he's linking up with Johnny Russell in that Sporting Kansas City attack. He can get 90s, he can get high 80s, he can do the damage in fantasy football, no problem at all. And as we can see, so far this season, it's been slowly from the bench to little sub appearances and then starting. And, you know, the last game, he didn't actually get past the 41st minute, so we might need to investigate exactly what's going on there. He's not registered as injured. Maybe it was just a precautionary thing. We've seen this kind of thing before. He's on a lot of money in Kansas City, and they definitely don't want him to break again. But it does look like he'll be playing this season, and if he plays this season, you know, like, it's hard to see him not doing well because of how good he is. The Kansas City team is pretty well constructed. They just need a guy like this to really, you know, lead the charge as it was. And he's definitely someone we want to watch out for this year. Now, Showshix here is recommended. He's seen last week we were looking at Cachavenda. We were looking at the watch list to bring someone in. But what he didn't see on the watch list is that his suggestion this week, Stojkovic, is on it. Now, guys, I can't say it enough. There's a little generation here of some of these little Croatian kids that, you know, everyone's quite excited about here on the channel. So, you know, Stojkovic, Cachavenda, Kranic, and maybe there's 1 or 2 other ones. You know, I'm quite excited to maybe pick some of these guys up in the off-season to have a wee Croatian Road to Glory next season. So we're definitely going to watch these guys because I keep seeing their names come up time and time again. Joe Ducey, who I think is a repeat winner on the Road to Glory series, he has suggested, he can't believe he's not in the watch list already, of course, Keaton Parks. Now, if you own Keaton Parks, you know he's a very good value cap mode selection. L15 at the moment of 45, but the interesting detail here is Keaton Parks ever present for New York City in midfield this season. In his last 5 games, he's averaged 53 out of 100. That improvement on his L15 average of 45 out of 100 is down to things like James Sandsman back in the team and Nick Cushion's starting to get a bit of an identity into this New York City team. Keaton Parks is limited at the moment is £6.15, and when you see the scores for this box-to-box midfielder, he's steady Eddie. He's pretty solid, he's pretty safe, but with the all-around game he's got, when he does get that decisive, he picks up a goal or an assist, he can bang with the best of them in midfield. And as we come into the European off-season, Keaton Parks is definitely somebody we want to add into the Road to Glory watch list. Now, one of the great things I love about MLS is that there's a lot of domestic transfers and a lot of guys that, you know, maybe fall out of favour at their home club or the club they make their name at. They can very quickly move to another team and, you know, reinvent themselves or re-establish themselves, get a second wind in their career, as it were. And I think a lot of people expected this from Matt Hedges, who this weekend has been recommended on my Road to Glory series by Capitalist General, who says that Matt Hedges is currently out on concussion protocol, but should return very quickly. Now, Matt Hedges has been around MLS his whole career, very formidable Dallas centre-back, and Toronto, having brought in some big players on some big money, seen Matt Hedges as perhaps the linchpin MLS centre-back in the piece. He's currently £1 for unlimited, or maybe a couple of dollars or something like that. His scores are formidable. He's a solid guy at the age of 33. You know what you're getting from him. And again, for £1, if you're going to play MLS semi-pro on Sorare, where by having one limited card that you buy, with the common cards, you can have a real advantage against the field if you know when one particular player is going to come back in and outperform themselves. There's not a lot of peaks here for Hedges, so I think he's not badly priced. I don't think it's a huge bargain in that respect, but I think he's huge value for money for £1. And we love value for money on the Road to Glory watch list. At every club, there's always a guy that comes through the academy that might not be the best player that your club's ever produced, but they bleed. They breathe it. You know, they are the club, their essence, and they're a fan on the pitch for us. And the same can be said for this week's Road to Glory suggestion, David Calabria, who's been recommended by Rico Castelli. He rotates a bit at the moment for Milan because they're still in the Champions League, but when he plays, he's a minimum 70s excellent player from midweek too. Now, David Calabria plays right back, and he's somebody that if you were to glance at the AC Milan team, you'd probably say, oh, they need to improve at right back, but at 26, this guy's an Italian defender in AC Milan, born and bred. And like you can see here, in his last 5 appearances, his average score out of 100 has been 67, which for a right back is stellar. He's just under £9 at the moment for a limited card on Sorare. And for my Road to Glory series, or for the semi-pro competition, where buying one of these limited cards gives you a real advantage on the competition in that division. A guy like this that plays for AC Milan, who won the Scudetto last year, who are in the Champions League latter stages this season, that's great bang for buck from me. And like I say, Calabria is one of those guys that's firmly in the fabric of the squad and in the club at the moment. So he's a guy that you can always rely on is going to be hanging around, and he's not going to maybe, you know, go chase a transfer to the Premier League to go play for a relegation team or, you know, anything nonsense like that. And when it comes to Sorare, I love stability in players, and I love players that are connected to the team, whether it be the manager, the fans, of the club, or whatever it might be. And David Calabria is a fun guy to add in to the Road to Glory series. Quite a cheap way to get into the AC Milan defence, because Fikayo Tomori, Theo Hernandez are huge scorers, huge players, and Calabria is probably overlooked by comparison, and we like that on the Road to Glory series, the differential. Now, last week, guys, I made a big proclamation. I said Skelly Alvaro is going to be a name that you're going to hear a lot, and it didn't even take a week. This week on the Road to Glory series, we've got recommended by Ian Sorare, Skelly Alvaro. He then realises he's probably just watched the video and then thought, oh, I've got a great suggestion. So, fist bumps to you, Ian. Love it. GG's. But Skelly Alvaro, there we go. Gets a double promotion. Now, I love a good new player that I've never even heard of or whatever. And Ross has got a great suggestion this week on Road to Glory. Hey, Quinny, must recommend Levent Mercan of FK in the Turkish League. Under 23 until 2025. Really finding his feet this season with some moderate scoring, capable of decisives from left back. Really small floor, and we expect him to kick on. And yeah, when you look at him, yeah, like he's quite happy in his picture. He's happy, you know. He plays all the time at the moment. He's £1.54 in my currency, which is lovely. The next game is against Galatasaray, so we might see a bad score this week. Maybe he goes down a couple of percentiles over the weekend, but like he says, he's starting to get into the team, starting to find his feet, and this guy, like, is showing us signs of the potential to kick on. From left back, you know, a guy like Fatty, I'm pretty sure Pirlo's still in charge there. So if he's getting into the team under Pirlo, then that's cool. I like that, you know. But like he says, decisives, big scores out of this guy. The AA is there, and for a fullback, sometimes the AA isn't there. And fine, fair enough, we expect that. But we can accept that if in return the fullback can beat 75, if the fullback can break a 90, if they can sniff 100, then we can accept that with a fullback. That's the risk we play. That's the tactics that are involved with that style of player. And for a guy that's under 23 eligible until 2025, he's a great road to glory pick. I like that a lot. One of the things I don't think should be understated about this is the Turkish calendar plays a phenomenal amount of games and has amazing calendar coverage across the European season when some other leagues normally have breaks and off parts of the season and whatever. So yeah, definitely somebody we want to pay close attention to. And Marcus Kulikovski is recommended a player that did pop up on my radar this week because, as you guys will know, I'm a big CFG guy. I'm a big fan of Man City, and I love the City Football Group, the network that's been sprout up. And the team they've got in Brazil at the moment, Bahia, I've got a few cards in that team with Nicolas Acevedo. And one of the players that also has cards is this week's suggestion from Marcus Kulikovski here, Taishiano, former Sorare beast in the Turkish league, now at newly promoted Brazilian side. In the first game he shot an 85. Fasciano here, L5 of 62, L15 of 53 in the Turkish league. Rare, looks very, very cheap at the moment, but the limited £4.32. And if you look at his historic scores, this is over, we need to do all time, I'm sure. Really good scorer in Turkey for what it is. And a 2-1 loss, fair enough, he's got his decisive here, his assist, but 23 points on all around with only one tackle, 10 points on possession, which has been mainly won from duels won and interceptions. Wee bit of passing stats. And then 6 points for big chance created, attempted assist. So this is like one ball into the box, really, that's clocked a lot of points up for him, which is probably the assist. So if we were to take that away, about 15 points or so, reduce that to 35. This is still about a 50 average midfielder in this score here. But this isn't a 2-1 loss as well. He's also lost, how many points on goals conceded? 2. It's easy to imagine, yeah, this kind of form we've seen at Altai here, 18 AA, 10 AA, 18, 13, yeah, all very possible. And then when he does get the decisive, he's probably going to clock into the 70s and maybe even the 80s with that extra level of AA points that comes along with the decisive that he's getting. So yeah, that looks like a really good prospect if he can keep that up. But the thing with Brazil is I've got no idea on the actual competition strength in that division. And Bahia, you know, newly promoted, who knows how well they'll do. But Tasciano is definitely somebody we want to watch out for on Road to Glory. Now guys, if you're not sure if a player is actually on the Road to Glory already, there's a link to the watch list in the description of the video. Feel free to check it out and you can filter it and have a wee poke around there already. Jordan Firth isn't sure if Leandro Miranda from Gymnasia is on the watch list already. And he isn't. The 32-year-old the 32-year-old Argentinian has 100% attendance on his L40, which is beautiful. He's £7 for unlimited, and Gimnasia La Plata, very defensive league, Argentina. Wow, look at those scores. Which is he? £7. Okay, that's good for £7. That is proper scores. You know, there is a few bums in here, 19 and a 30 and whatever, but multiple 80 pluses, multiple 75 pluses, which is beautiful. Wow, yeah. Really, really good. I like that a lot for a centre-back. And if he's continuing to play at 32, that is reliability. Wow, solid. He's Pharaoh. He is Pharaoh. And I can't say it enough, guys. One of my favourite parts about doing Road to Glory is genuinely discovering people I have never even seen or heard of. And Boyd Yan here is recommended a doozy. Jason Lokilo, $10. Came over from Sparta, I'm going to guess that's Rotterdam, to Istanbul Sport and has been killing it. He has some AA in him and some decisives. Ooh. So he is 24 at the moment, so he's not under 23 eligible beyond the next like 2 months or something, you know. But he looks to be playing right mid. He can play a bit of left mid. 100% attendance in his last 5 games for his team. He does have forward and midfielder cards, so we'll examine both of that. Just under £5 at the moment for me. And his scores look good. And this is for a forward. So his forward scores look good. What do the mid scores look like? So when I toggle this, what you're paying attention to is these bars here. Okay, so forward, mid. Yeah, so the low scores go up And so we want the forward card for this guy. And that's because he probably isn't doing too much defensively, and this team can concede goals. So we want protection from the goals conceded metrics, and we're not getting anything off of the clean sheet element of the match, as it were. So an attacking focused player, and yeah, looks decent. For £4, he's maybe a wee bit much for Road to Glory at the moment, but if he can keep this up, he's somebody that, in the off-season, if he was to drop in price, along with a few of the other guys we've got on this watch list, we could have a really good Turkish, maybe even Turkish-Croatian hybrid for the next European season. Now, every time I see a name come up on screen for Road to Glory that is anywhere near looking Scandinavian, I just know the guy is going to play in Norway. And Football Memes is recommended Frederick Bjergsen as a bargain. L15 is 42, but his scores are around the 75. He's 28 years old. He's got cards from Aalborg. And as you can see here, he's playing the last 5. He's only £5 at the moment. And let's see what's actually going on. He's got 2 scores in the last year, which has happened over the last 2 game weeks, and he's got a 75 and a 40. So this is a striker. Interesting. And let's see, all time. He's probably not going to have anything amazing if he's been playing maybe for Aalborg and not doing well, and he's moved back to Norway. So yeah, not really much to tell here, but potentially, for £5, you could have a nice differential card there that could get some goals. The Norwegian calendar runs over when the rest of the European season is in hibernation, so we'll definitely add him into the watch list. No two ways about it. That's one to watch out for. I like that. Ed Shorts has recommended that Yuko Toyukawa is a bargain at $4, over 65 in his last 2 games, and the 28-year-old forward for Kyoto Sanga in the J-League is currently around £2 at the moment for the limited card. The form he's got coming up the fixtures he's got coming up look pretty appealing. And yeah, 64 back-to-back games since returning into the new season with an assist off the bench and then a goal from the beginning. It's a really impressive performance from the start of the season for this guy. And it's somebody we definitely want to watch out for. For £2, a guy that can get some decisives in the J-League could be somebody that comes good for us. As we've seen with MLS, we've got a semi-pro and a draft division there in the K-League. Obviously, he's on now. There was a wee bit longer for the J-League to come on. So will we get some draft modes? Will there be some semi-pro action in the summer months? Maybe somebody like a Toyokawa could be a very interesting one to watch out for. Now, Football Memes has recommended a Timo Lecter or something like that. His L15 is 50, but he outperforms his L15. And when we look at Timo, it definitely looks to be that way for the Dutchman. His limited is currently £3. And his scores since the turn of the season have definitely been L15 over 55. These DNPs and really low scores really drag down that average. But for a centre-back, man, this guy is solid, reliable, and cheap. And yeah, we would be foolish not to add this guy into the watch list. Now, JC, one of the Celtic friends on the channel, is recommended Tomoki Iwata on the Road to Glory series. Now, it does feel like Iwata is going to come into the Celtic team and be a very important player under Ange Postecoglou. Obviously, J-League Player of the Year last season, brought into Celtic in the January transfer window, and he's been slowly bedded into the team. But now it feels like we're getting the glimpses of what an Iwata Celtic midfield is kind of built like. And it feels very much like Ange season 3 in the making. His limited card at the moment on Sorare is under a £5, and I think for a defensive midfielder who's going to pick up lots of tackles, lots of interceptions, and make lots of forward passes just because of where he's going to be on the pitch, in a dominant team like Celtic, one of the best teams in the world to play Sorare with, one of the best teams in global fantasy football, could be a bargain for next season. Is it the cheapest we could pick up Iwata between now and, let's say, June or July? Probably not. If we wanted to pick him up and use him right away, now's probably a good time with a couple of fixtures that are left in the season. We'll definitely add Iwata into the watch list, but I'm not sure if this is someone we want to look at for right now. Now, Weldon Barretto has got 2 sneaky suggestions here for us. The first one here is Jeremy Liveland. Now, 25-year-old, I think this guy's a midfielder card, looks to be a winger. Yep, he's playing as a midfielder card on Sorare. It's currently under £4, and he looks the part. He's got some really good scores, and some of these D2 cards, there's a bunch of them out there, but it's frequency and it's how high they can punch, and this guy can get 88s, 100s. He's done that level. The frequency, maybe it's not quite as good as some other guys we've seen in the past, but it's definitely appealing for a midfielder card in particular, and we definitely want to add him into the watch list. The other guy is Dylan Roussier, and he looks to be a midfielder also. I wasn't sure if this guy was a defender at first. He is under £1. He's 77 pence. Absolutely nothing. Solid, consistent scorer. I think for under £1, this is pretty good. A guy that can break 60 or 70, maybe 3 times a season, twice a season for under £1. That's not too bad for a cap 220 team or something like that. So yeah, worth mentioning. Now, I love a bit of old gold in football. I love those players that don't retire. I love the guys that stay playing on, but not necessarily for the money. They keep going, playing at the highest level possible, at the most fantastic clubs they can possibly get themselves into. And European Champions League legend runner-up for me. Obviously, La Liga winner with Atletico Madrid and a bunch of other amazing accolades is Diego Godin, the 37-year-old Uruguay. I guess we could call him a World Cup legend as well. 37-year-old Uruguayan legend is currently at Vélez Sarsfield in the Argentinian Primera Division of the Superliga. He's got an L5. His last 5 games, out of 100, he scored 72. His limited is £5 at the moment. He's going to retire much sooner than he started his career, of course, but big man can still kill. Big man can still kill. And he's, class is permanent, guys. And in the Argentinian division, how quickly you can cover 15 yards maybe isn't as important as how good you are on the ball and how good you are in the air, as well as those duels being able to be a bit nasty and win them. He's not even been booked in any of these games, which for Diego Godin seems like a miracle, but maybe that's just Argentinian football for you. So this one feels pretty special. This one feels like a lot of fun. He is only contracted to them to December this calendar year, so this is a real burner card where when you buy him, you really got to think about he's probably not going to be here next season at 37 years old. You're taking him for the now, having a bit of fun with him, How can we not put him in the watch list, really? Ed Shorts has got another one here for us, and Riho Moon costs under £3 despite having an L5 of 78. The 29-year-old Korean midfielder L5 is 78, but he's only played in 40% of matches. He's 70 pence at the moment, and his scores are formidable. He hasn't played all the time, but he's got a 94, a 62, and a 67 in his L3, basically, with a goal and an assist in each of those games. But the first one, 67 points there with no decisive action whatsoever. This is a very appealing guy, but we definitely need more intel on this guy. Why is he so in and out of the team? Because at 29, we're not going to put it down to age, I don't think, are we? So definitely someone to watch out for, because under £1, that's incredible. If we can get him now and gather some more intelligence on why he's in and out the team, picking him up for under £1 could just be like an absolute no-brainer. If you want to check out the Road to Glory watch list, the link is in the description of this video. Make sure you hop onto there. There is hundreds of players, all shapes and sizes, all sorts of profiles for managers on all levels of the game. The Sorare scouts and managers from around the world, thank you very much for joining me for this episode. I look forward to catching your comments down below. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.